She said, push through the wobble. You know, that place where you're feeling like you want to quit. Things start to feel a little bit hard, a little bit not working in your favor, and you just want to quit. She said, push through the wobble. And that is the assignment when you are on the pottery wheel, to push through the wobble. Because as your clay is wobbling, the thing you want to do is go with the wobble. Collapse is what happens. You go with the wobble, your piece falls apart. You lose it. You're not centered. Same thing happens with you, with me in our life, if we don't push through the wobble. Hello and welcome to Say Yes to You and Why You Don't. For women who are great at saying yes to others, not always as great at saying yes to themselves. I'm Claudia Braun, mindset, lifestyle, and EFT coach for women who are ready to start saying yes to themselves. Today is about pushing through the wobble. And do download your free opportunity to understand where your mind wobbles you and pushes you off center. If you haven't taken the free assessment, I encourage you to take the 5-minute assessment. The link is in the show notes, and you'll get to understand, how does your mind work? How does it go into wobble and stop you from pushing forward? And then I will walk you through the results, because when you look at it, it's not always as clear. So let me help you and assist you so that you can get the best results from it. We'll do a debrief together. The link is in the show notes. I'll remind you again as we move later on. So stay with me. It's really exciting, because as you begin to understand how your own wobble kicks in, you begin to understand where it is that you go off and where you lose your center and where you lose your peace. I mention here frequently about my journey in pottery. I started a few years ago, and it's become one of my loves, passion, obsession, call it whatever you will, but it's really fun. And it does me a lot of good. And there's really lovely things that get produced sometimes, a lot of the times. So I'm thankful for that. But I want to share this with you because I was thinking about that line that I was taught when I first started to throw on the wheel. Push through the wobble. Because our instinct is to just, ride the wave. We let it take us, and then we're underneath it. We let it take us up for a ride, and then we're lost. It's, that conversation where you say something, it gets misinterpreted, and then somebody else says something and they react to what you say, and before you know it, you're caught in the wobble, and you've lost your center, you've lost your peace. This has been a line that has come to me from my own ceramic journey, and it also really is a metaphor for life, is that when you lose your center, you lose your peace. And it applies to me when I am not centered in my own beingness, I lose my peace. And I'm going to tell you, when I am not centered and my pottery piece is not centered, I don't have a piece. I don't have any piece that comes off. I mean it figuratively, I mean it literally. It is such an amazing metaphor for life. So I offer this to you, that as you're pushing through the wobble, you are reconnecting back to your own center and your own peace. And it is the foundation for whatever you want to create in your life. If your relationships are not going as well as you wish, if you're finding that there's a lot of discord and things are hard, maybe things are hard at work. I hear from a number of colleagues and clients, challenges. Work relationships can be like family, right? You're with them so much. And like family, they're not necessarily people you've chosen. Or even if they are people that you've chosen, you're not the same as they are. They have different ways of doing things than you do. And it can push against how you think things should go. And that's the place that I know can be so easy to get tripped up. When you think things should go a certain way and they're not. That line about fix, manage, and controlling things, when you are trying to fix, manage, and control things, and others don't exactly appreciate your fix, managing, and controlling, and how that shows up, whether it's at work or home or your community, you feel the pushback, you feel the wobble. Always it comes back to you and where are you in your own center, and have you been operating out of wobble? Because what I know, my own life, my client's life, is that when you're not feeling particularly strong, stable, not feeling at your best, it's so easy to get pushed into the wobble. It's so easy to get derailed by those aspects of your mind that trip you up. The fear, the worry, the control. You want things to go a certain way. You have an agenda of how things should have gone, how you expected them to go, and they don't go that way. All of your fears, worries, concerns come to the surface. Worried about how it's going to go, worried about what this means for the future, how this will unfold, how it's going to affect you down the road. It's so easy to get into that futurizing. And when you are not staying present to what's really going on, you absolutely will get caught up in the wobble, lose your peace, and not feel as effective in how you are wanting to present yourself, to be in the relationship, to be in the experience. And what an opportunity to show yourself what's really going on, because that's what happens, right? You go out into the world and you get to experience how your mind has been operating. I was going into a building and I held the door for this man behind me, and he didn't really realize that I was holding it and waiting for him to come. And he's like, oh, I was in my own world. And I thought, we're all in our own world, right? You're all in this story in your mind, but that story in your mind is so different from the story in the other person's mind. And so the more that you're able to just be there, present to what's going on, to be able to navigate that inner experience that you are having with greater peace, with greater understanding for yourself and for the situation and the other person, the more that you are able to push through the wobble and not let it feel like it's a cyclone or tornado taking over you. And I just know how much this has to offer you as you start to implement this into your life. Notice that situation, that work situation, that relationship situation that causes you the most wobble. Who's the person in your life who really trips you up the most? Maybe it's your partner. Maybe it's your child. Because that is showing you an aspect of your own mind where you get in your own way. And it's being reflected back to you so that you can experience it, offer it, move through it in a different way. I had a situation where a friend of mine was going through something, and I offered her the idea of perhaps she might want to get some help. And she said, I'll think about it. And I could tell she was really drowning and she needed help. And there is a woman that I know who does the kind of work that she was looking to have done. And I knew she might know somebody. And I asked her if she wanted me to ask them. And she said, I'll think about it. And I thought, okay, that's fine. And by the end of our conversation, like, yeah, I really want you to ask them. So I did ask them, and they actually found somebody that could do the work. And then she decided, once they offered it to her, she didn't want it. And I could feel inside of me where I had a wobble. Because I'd asked her, she said yes. I asked this person, they went out of their way to ask somebody else to bring assistance to this person who she doesn't know. And she did it for me. And my friend's response was, oh, I've changed my mind, to the lady when she said she could help her. And I felt my wobble of my own internal judgment of how I thought my friend could have handled it better, that she had no appreciation or gratitude towards me or this woman who doesn't know her and offered to assist to, and I could feel the judgment and the wobble within me. And I thought, okay, I have seen what this experience is showing me. So I got to see where my mind was. I had an idea of how people could respond to things when someone does something for them. My expectation, always going to lead down a bad path, always going to move into a wobble. And I also saw where I have assisted this person, my friend, other times because she's been in some kind of crisis situation. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to be the one who offers it up. I will just be a good friend and, listen and be kind and loving. Not so quick to offer a solution, because I've experienced it in the past where there's this kind of boy who calls wolf. It's just a lot of noise. And then when you kind of carry through, not really that interested. So I thought, okay, learning for me on so many levels. And so that's what I mean. It's like these situations are there to show us. They're our teachers. Shows me where my wobble is, where my judgment is, where my expectations are, where I step up when maybe it's not needed, where maybe somebody just needs to talk about something. And it's like, okay, just be a sounding board. I don't necessarily need to offer any help, assistance, advice, even if I can. And that for me is a great opportunity. It is part of the work I do in the world. And I have a lot of passion for offering people tools to move out of suffering. But sometimes people don't really want to move out of suffering. Sometimes they're really okay to hang out there. And it's like, okay, they get to choose. They get to choose what's right for them. And it's not mine to decide what is right for them. So in your own life, maybe there's somebody who you tend to offer solutions to, or you offer guidance or help and they don't really want it, or maybe they don't really appreciate it. And then you end up feeling maybe similar to how I felt, a little bit judgy, a little bit used, a little bit resentful. And it's kind of like, it's a good lesson for you to really look at, what are you doing? And is it working for you? And what's your wobble in that? And that's what I mean. All of these situations in our life, whether it's the person you walk down the street and hold the door for, or don't hold the door for, or doesn't hold the door for you, or looks at you the wrong way, or cuts you off in traffic. I mean, all these people are teachers. And they're showing you what it is that is for you to look at and push through the wobble, meaning that you don't react to it and you just stay So when you push through the wobble, you just stay centered. You stay on course. You stay on where you're going. Because that's the thing in pottery. When you go with the wobble, you are like you're taken on a ride. But when you push through the wobble and you stay centered, things can swirl all around you. All kinds of dramas, situations, madness in the world can happen. But you stay centered. You do not lose your peace. You do not get carried by the wobbles. And I know there are wobbles everywhere. And what is a wobble for you may not be a wobble for me, but it's about knowing where yours is, because that is where your power lies. So today, I want you to consider, what are the wobbles in your life? When you started listening here, what's the thing that came to mind? What's the scenario in your life that keeps coming up? What's the health issue or the relationship issue, work issue, home life, whatever it is that keeps you off center? Because every day you got a different lesson. I know this to be true. And that's the good news, because if you're paying attention, you are given the opportunity to do it differently. And that's where pushing through the wobble today has the opportunity to move you into a stronger place of centered connection to your highest good, and move you in the direction that you want to go toward your goals, your desires. I so often see people having goals or desires that are for others, and then it takes them away from what they truly want for themselves. So this is an opportunity to see where you are wobbled off by other people's desires for you that are having you move off center and therefore lose your peace and keep you in the wobble. So I am so happy to be with you today, and I appreciate your comments. Thank you for sharing. And if this has been of value, I do appreciate your continuing to be part of my community and subscribing and sharing it with others that you know who would benefit. So thank you for being here with me today, and do take advantage of the 5-minute assessment, which is in a link below, and I will walk you through the results of your assessment so that you can get the greatest benefit and really be able to make some shifts and changes in your own life as you move forward in this year ahead, because we're still early in the year and there's so many opportunities for your own personal expansion, well-being, achieving, connecting to those desires that you have for yourself. I am Claudia Braun, Mindset, Lifestyle, EFT Coach, and thank you for being with me on Say Yes to You and Why You Don't, for women who are ready to start saying yes to themselves. Bye for now, and I will look forward to seeing you next week.